Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and oh my god, today, today has been fucking crazy when it comes to news breaking out of Buzzfeed in an article that is trending with 2,055,604 views at the time of this recording about allegations that Trump has deep ties to Russia. This says here, a dossier compiled by a person who claimed to be a former British intelligence official alleges Russia has compromising information on Trump. The allegations are unverified, and the report contains errors. So right off the bat, you can look at just that tagline and go, wait a minute here, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right at all. Why are they publishing unverified information? At that point, isn't it just essentially a rumor, right? Like, why is BuzzFeed rallying against Trump in this particular fashion? Well, part of that could be this right here on TechCrunch from a few months ago, where it says NBC Universal has invested $200 million into BuzzFeed. Now, we know where BuzzFeed stands in terms of its political allegiances. It does not like Donald Trump, and it does want to find any way it can to hurt his incoming administration. So running something like this could be, I don't know, a ploy to damage him, right? Well, the editor-in-chief of BuzzFeed, Ben Smith, did say this earlier. As you have probably seen, this evening we published a secret dossier making an explosive and unverified allegations about Donald Trump and Russia. I wanted to briefly explain to you how we made the decision to publish it. We published the dossier, which Ken Bessinger obtained through his characteristically ferocious reporting, so that, as we wrote, Americans can make up their own minds about allegations about the president-elect that have circulated at the highest levels of the U.S. government. Our presumption is to be transparent in our journalism and to share what we have with our readers. We have always erred on the side of publishing. In this case, the document was in wide circulation at the highest levels of the American government and media. It seems to lie behind a set of vague allegations from the Senate Majority Leader to the Director of the FBI and a report that intelligence agencies have delivered to the President and President-elect. As we noted in our story, there is serious reason to doubt the allegations. We have been chasing specific claims in this document for weeks and will continue to. Publishing this document was not an easy or simple call, and people of good will may disagree with our choice, but publishing this dossier reflects how we see the job of reporters in 2017, which is a little bit on the creepy side, isn't it? Just because they see the job of reporters in 2017 to run unverified claims about Donald Trump and potential ties to Russia merely 10 days before his inauguration. At this point, it's you can't stop the Trump train. It's gonna fucking happen, right? And if he gets impeached or shit goes down in the next 10 days, it goes to Mike fucking Pence, which is worse than Trump. So it's like, what the fuck, BuzzFeed? So let's take a look at here at this article. All right, so it says here, all right, so this dossier making explosive but unverified allegations that the Russian government has been cultivating, supporting, and assisting President-elect Donald Trump for years, and gaining compromising information about him has been circulating among elected officials, intelligence agencies, and journalists for weeks. The dossier, which is a collection of memos written over a period of months, includes specific, unverified, and potentially unverifiable allegations of contact between Trump aides and Russian operatives, and graphic claims of sexual acts documented by the Russians. Pay close attention to that one right there, because the graphic claims of sexual acts documented by the Russians is pretty much what has the internet abuzz right now. BuzzFeed News reporters in the US and Europe have been investigating various alleged facts in the dossier, but have not verified or falsified them. CNN reported Tuesday that a 2-page synopsis of their report was given to President Obama and Trump. So essentially, they gave a 2-page synopsis of what this 35-page dossier contained last week at a meeting, and so they're both fully aware of this. But neither one said anything until today. I mean, Obama hasn't said anything yet. Trump has chimed in. But it goes on to say here that BuzzFeed released the whole document. We already know that. The document was prepared for political opponents of Trump by a person who is understood to be a former British intelligence agent. It is not just unconfirmed. It includes some clear errors. Report misspells the name of one company, Alpha Group, throughout. It's Alpha Group. The report says the settlement of Bavika I'm probably mispronouncing that, outside of Moscow is reserved for the residences of the top leadership and their close associates. It is not reserved for anyone, and it is also populated by the very wealthy. The Trump administration's transition team did not immediately respond to BuzzFeed News' request for a comment. However, the president-elect's attorney, Michael Cohen, told Mike that the allegations were absolutely false. He does say here, "It is so ridiculous on so many levels. Clearly, the person who created this did so from their imagination, or did so hoping that the liberal media would run with a fake story for whatever rationale they might have." And then Trump shot back with "fake news, total political witch hunt." Right? I love that that's his official response, is just literally a 7-word tweet. Because 2017, guys, that's where we're at right now. And so, yeah, it goes on and talks more about this sort of thing. But let's jump over real quick and take a look at this here. So again, this is 35 pages. I'm not going to go through all of it, but what it essentially implies is, yes, that Trump has been kind of cultivated by Russia at the ordering of Putin in order to groom him to become president and to take down Hillary Clinton. It does say in here that Putin both feared and hated Hillary. I don't know if Putin fears anybody. That part was a little odd to me, but like that's basically what it says. That Trump is as kind of like the Manchurian candidate for Russia is what it alleges. Now, where the internet is losing its goddamn mind, and what I predominantly want to talk about in this is the allegation that 4chan trolled Donald Trump, and it boils down to a couple different passages in this thing. So you come down here to page 2, item 3, and it says, "However, there were other aspects to Trump's engagement with the Russian authorities, one of which had borne fruit for them was to exploit Trump's personal obsessions and sexual perversion in order to obtain suitable compromising material on him, according to source D, where she had been present for Trump's perverted conduct in Moscow, including hiring the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where he knew President and Mrs. Obama, whom he hated, had stayed on one of their official trips to Russia, and defiling the bed where they had slept by employing number of prostitutes to perform golden showers, urination, show in front of him. The hotel was known to be under FSB control with microphones and concealed cameras in all the main rooms to record anything they wanted to." Yeah. And then it goes on to say here, Trump's unorthodox behavior in Russia over the years had provided authorities there with enough embarrassing material on the now Republican presidential candidate to be able to blackmail him if they so wished. This section of the report does come from June 2016. Now, I love the allegation here. The allegation being that Trump had gone to Russia, got the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton, brought in Russian prostitutes to piss on the bed because he wanted to defile where Michelle Obama had slept at one point in time. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, that is an out there claim. And again, this is not verifiable. This is not provable at all. But yet, holy shit, people are running with this particular passage. Also down here on page 8, from a report out of July, the next month, it does say here, "Finally, regarding Trump's claimed minimal investment profile in Russia, a separate source with direct knowledge said this had not been for want of trying. Trump's previous efforts had included exploring the real estate sector in St. Petersburg as well as Moscow, but in the end, Trump had to settle for the use of extensive sexual services there from local prostitutes rather than business success." Again, basically alleging that Trump went to St. Petersburg in the surrounding areas to do some business, and ended up not doing any business, but you know, sampled the local flora and fauna and turd of prostitutes. Right? Again, that's just, to me, these more salacious claims are definitely like, what the fuck, right? Now, there are claims in this document that I do feel are interesting and worth investigating, and the FBI at this point is in fact investigating these claims, including talking to the person who did comprise this briefing. It's just like, what the fuck, right? Like, everything here is kind of like, Manchurian candidate, what. Golden showers, oh my god, right? But there's another mention of sexual deviancy in this thing too. Okay, so from a report on September 14th, 2016, it says here, two knowledgeable St. Petersburg sources claim Republican candidate Trump has paid bribes and engaged in sexual activities, but key witnesses silenced and evidence hard to maintain. Now, in the detail section, it goes on to say, Trump had participated in sex parties in the city too, but all that direct witnesses to this had been silenced, i.e. bribed or coerced to disappear. Now, look, it's not hard for people to disappear in Russia. They do it all the time. You know, again, it's not hard. I've seen a lot of crazy shit come out of fucking Russia, and you know that, you know, Putin has had his enemies disappeared before. So this sort of thing would not be the most outlandish allegation on the planet. Although what I love here is that it actually names a person who could have information as to what Trump did there. A guy by the name of Araz Agalarov, who is a business figure with offices in Baku and London, who had been closely involved with Trump in Russia and would know most of the details of what the Republican presidential candidate had gotten up to. Now, that to me is just like, it's like, we don't know what he did, but this motherfucker over here, he knows what he did. Like, basically painting some kind of target on this guy's back. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we find out later on that this particular guy was bugged by the CIA or something. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. So again, those are the three claims in this document that are interesting in regards to sexual acts committed inside of Russia. Now, again, they're not necessarily saying that Trump, you know, like beat a hooker to death and disposed of her body in the Siberian wilderness or nothing like that. They're just saying that he went there and he fucked some hookers sometime in the last like 5 or 6 years. That's basically what they're saying. And it's, I guess it's not out of the realm of possibilities. You know, I mean, Trump could. I mean, we don't know what this guy's capable of doing. However, one of the things I saw in this particular document that kind of like caught my eye was about his lawyer, Michael Cohen. Now, from an October 18th report, it does say here that Kremlin insider highlights importance of Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, in covert relationship with Russia. Cohen's wife is of Russian descent, and her father is a leading property developer in Moscow. Now, what cracks me up about this is that Michael Cohen has responded by saying, I have never been to Prague in my life. Right? That's what he's referring to in this particular situation. And he shows a picture of his passport. And as you can see, it's been retweeted 5,300 times. But he doesn't open the passport to show us whether or not he has a stamp from Prague or a neighboring country or something, right? So him just taking a photograph of his particular fucking passport, just the cover, it's not proof of shit. And that's the thing with this. Everything I've seen to either discredit this particular story, like, look, just to be fair, this story, for the most part, is something that I look at as being bullshit. I think a lot of this is bullshit. But people that are trying to like run damage control on behalf of Trump, they don't know how to respond, so they're trying everything they can in order to push that narrative. And the same goes with Michael Cohen. I have never been to Prague in my life. Here's my passport. What does that even mean? What the fuck does that have to do with the price of tea in China? You got to show us what's in the passport in order for us to know if it is legit or not. Until then, it's just horseshit. And that brings me to like the second part of this, where there's a whole bunch of blogs that are reporting that 4chan claims to have fabricated the anti-Trump report as a hoax, right? I mean, a numerous amount of people are pulling an I am Spartacus moment, where they're going around saying, I'm the one who did it. A whole bunch of alt-right Twitter accounts and alt-right people on social media are making the claims that they're the ones who penned this piss story as a way of you know, kind of fucking with the left-leaning media and getting the liberal media to run whatever fucking story that they could. Now, this story over here on zerohedge.com is one that's been shared with me a lot. And so what he says here is, in a story that's getting more surreal by the minute, a post on 4chan now claims that the infamous golden shower scene in the unverified 35-page dossier allegedly compiled by a British intelligence officer was a hoax and fabricated by a member of the chat board as fan fiction, then sent to Rick Wilson, who proceeded to send it to the CIA, which then put it in their official classified intelligence report on the election. Now, Rick Wilson is a GOP strategist, very much much anti-Trump, not a fan of this guy whatsoever. And people have been accusing him of this all fucking day ever since this particular story broke, coming out of a poll on 4chan. But what I love about Rick Wilson's response to all of this has basically been give everybody the fucking middle finger, right? Like he just doesn't give a shit. Period. Does not give a shit. And to me that actually says more that he's, I think, being truthful. And the reason why I say that is because he's not like backing away from this. He's basically calling out the bullshit. And most of the time in these situations, when somebody who's done something wrong gets accused of that, they'll like shut down their Twitter account, they'll run on their hide and things like that. And he's not doing that. Anyway, 4chan's explanation is this. You got a photo of Rick Grimes here saying, let's recap what happened. Polacks mailed fan fiction to anti-Trump pundit Rick Wilson about Trump making people piss on a bed Obama slept in. He thought it was real and gave it to the CIA. The CIA of the United States of America put this in their official classified intelligence report on Russian involvement in an election. Donald Trump and Obama both have read Polak's fan fiction. The CIA has concluded that the Russians plan to blackmail Trump with the story we made up. Okay, keep in mind that, yeah, that particular story about the FSB having control of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel is not the only claim of sexual deviancy, if you will, in this particular report. So there is that. And that's one thing to consider too. But again, I mean, okay, so you got one guy here from today, because look at the timestamp, January 10th, 2017, making this claim. And people have been sending this to me as absolute fucking proof, right? Absolute goddamn proof that that this is a 4chan troll job. I mean, and a lot of websites are running with it. Here's the thing though. There's no real proof. Some random anon posting that this is what happened and people running with it as being true is the same as people running with the unverified documents on Trump saying that they're true. It's just horseshoe theory in motion. It makes no fucking sense. All right. But it even goes on as to talk about kind of a pace spin down here that talks about a little bit more about this, saying on January 10th, Buzzfeed posted a single story under the byline of Ken Bessinger, Mark Scoofs, and Miriam Elder titled "These Reports Allege Trump Has Deep Ties to Russia," and posted a link to a document alleging, among other things, that Russia had been cultivating Trump for 5+ years, that Trump had been in constant contact with the Kremlin for information on his opponents, and perhaps most inflammatory, that there are many recorded instances of blackmail of Trump and sexual misconduct. A prominent claim is that Trump rented the presidential suite of the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow, where he knew that the Obamas had slept. He hired a number of prostitutes to perform a golden shower, piss play, on the bed and in the room. All right. And then noted Never Trump voice Rick Wilson later commented on Twitter, saying that the report gave a new meaning to WikiLeaks, claiming WikiLeaks, right? The hyperbole on the leaks part. And that the report was the reason everybody was fighting so hard against Trump during the election. The remarkable thing, it's all fake. And not only fake, it's a prank perpetrated by 4chan on Rick Wilson himself. The post on 4chan on October 26 stated, "My face win managed to convince CTR and certain journalists on Twitter there will be an October surprise on Trump this Friday," along with a picture of a smug face with the hash name. So this is an archive for that. Let's see. Okay, so this is what it says here, and that's really about it. But the question is though, did this dude say anything else? So he says here, someone asked him, "I just want to know all these conservatives are fucked." He says they are. "I was surprised the idiots here picked it up. It helps some fat ass on RCP wrote an article saying the tweet about it is already too late for CTR to stop the disinformation at this point. It's organic. You'll see on Friday when nothing happens and the shilling goes into overdrive." Now this was from October 26th. Okay. This was from October 26th. So it is a few months ago. So it is not just earlier today or whatever. All right. Then this guy says here, "I also have a Trump account that's getting more and more popular." So, this guy clearly is a troll, claiming to be a troll, but not actually posting what his account is. I mean, I understand that. And again, he says, "I won't," really, it's kind of like, it's just another anon talking shit. We don't know who this guy is. So then on November 1st, a person without a picture, but assumed to be the same person, said, "So they took what I told Rick Wilson and added a Russian spy angle to it. They still believe it. Guys, they are truly fucking desperate. There is no remaining Trump scandal that's credible." And of course, they're referring to this post right here, where he says, they still believe it. Then looking further through the comments for this particular user to respond, he says, when asked, is there a sex tape orgy thing? How can anybody believe that? Then he says, because I told them the source was the GOP coup. I never even hinted at where they gotten it from. The Russian spy shit is 100% organic, extra-layered bullshit they themselves thought up. I still can't believe how retarded these people are. And it's interesting to look at that, because people, again, have been coming to me and saying, like, but no, this is definitive proof. Not definitive proof, all right? We don't necessarily know what he's referring to. Now, does this seem like it falls in line with that? Yeah, sure. All right. But the FSB Ritz-Carlton hotel thing came from June. So it's not like it's a current thing. He doesn't give time. If he would have said back in like May or June or whatever around that time, I had provided them with this type of story, then it would be more credible. I think it would be, you could kind of line up the timeline. But there are people out there that are looking at the timestamps and saying, "Oh, that's legit. That falls in line." It sadly, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But then it talks about what I already showed you guys from today, finishing up with, the story is taking on something of a life of its own. Going through Rick Wilson's Twitter, you can find many different stories from time to time that he had shown the story to a wide number of anti-Trump news sources, trying to find a news organization that would actually publish the story. During that time period, he referred to it often as the thing, and often playing coy with followers on the content of the story with anyone who is not also a never Trumper. Unconfirmed sources has people as high up as John McCain giving this story to FBI Director James Comey in an attempt to verify the story. Given that Rick Wilson runs in establishment circles, it's not an impossible scenario that long-serving senators are falling for what amounts to a 4chan troll, Trump supporter creating the ironic October surprise out of whole cloth to punk a GOP pundit who derogatorily referred to them as single men who masturbate to anime. Now, that right there is something to pay attention to, because that's actually talking a lot about Rick Wilson right there. Rick Wilson did refer to the whole, make anime great again part of the election as single men who masturbate to anime. And people got mad at him. People got really mad at him for that. So they started looking into him, right? They started looking into him, and they ended up coming across something that his son wrote. Well, over on Gawker, what was Gawker at the time, now is Gizmodo, Rachel Valtrexacote wrote on the 21st of January 2016, so almost a whole year ago, when a GOP pundit attacked, trolls responded, and what they uncovered will shock you, because that's typical Gawker-style shit there. So this, of course, is Rick Wilson, and this is his son. And what they've discovered is that his son likes to kind of act like a hard ass on the internet and writes a whole bunch of really odd, like fucking, sick ass fiction. Like this one here saying, take a piss on her and make her swallow it. Where he wrote, the best thing you can do is have some drinks with her, get her drunk, then get her to go do some shit she'd never do. If you got a bitch that's a total freak, make her show you how freaky she is, take a piss on her and make her swallow it all. Right? And that, according to some people in this particular situation, is what led kind of led that particular golden showers line. All right. Now, this did come from the early part of 2016, and the FSB Ritz-Carlton Hotel golden showers moment is from a June 2016 report. So that would at least be, 5-6 months ahead of that report being written down. So you could maybe argue that that is what this came from. Again, there's no 100% connection between the Anon on 4chan and this particular story. So it is one worth taking with a grain of salt. But that kind of brings me to the final bit of all of this, right? Now, over there on the Donald, there is a thread that popped up today talking about that 4chan post saying, when you never verify anything because you're fake news. Well, there's this user here by the name of Canadian 1987 that says, basically, here's the guy who made the document, and he links over to this particular Twitter account from a user named Saint Prudence, saying, anime piss, almost word for word copy of the story I saw on Reddit, right? Now, what he is referring to here is, this is his actual tweet, not archived, actual tweet to prove that it's still there. So you pop over here to this TIL page right here, where it says, TIL, when the KGB tried to blackmail Indonesian President Ahmed Sukarno with videotapes of the president having sex with Russian women disguised as flight attendants, He wasn't upset. He was pleased. He even asked for more copies of the video to show back in his country. Now, this is what this person, right, this St. Prudence guy is saying. Anime piss, almost word for word copy of the story that I saw. So essentially trying to allude that this particular story of the Indonesian president having sex with Russian women disguised as flight attendants is essentially what they use. But it doesn't make sense at all. What they said in that report of Trump going and piss, having these prostitutes piss on the bed. And everything else, nothing to do with anime in this particular story, nothing to do with piss in this particular story, nothing to do with anime or piss in these comment sections. So this essentially is someone just saying that I wrote it, because they said here too, Prudence, are you saying you sent a Word doc containing that story to your neocon who fell for the story? He says here, yes, and this was simply 3 hours ago. This is a fake part of the story. This person, St. Prudence, is lying about all of this goddamn bullshit, right? About his involvement with it. And this information is being shared around as being, haha, we found the person who leaked this to Rick Wilson. We found the person who did this, but it's not true, right? This guy is saying that he stole this from this Today I Learned thread about the president of Indonesia being blackmailed by the KGB. Now, again, don't get me wrong. The ideas there are very similar, right? They are very similar. And that is one thing that you should take into consideration. Sure, fine. But it's not like the KGB doesn't do this kind of shit. It's not like other governments, including our own government, hasn't done this kind of shit. So it's not the most original play out there. It's a pretty frequent one that's used. So to wrap this whole thing up, because I will admit this has gone on for a while, if you look at this Trump intelligent release, or whatever you want to call it, to me it's summarized up essentially like this. There are a number of issues with that I do believe determine a full investigation by the FBI. Has Trump had contact with the Kremlin to get information on Hillary Clinton, who they were trying to take down? Did Michael Cohen actually go to Russia or go to Prague? He says he didn't, but you know what? We need to see the actual fucking passport in order for it to make a goddamn, to be considered evidence. You got to open that motherfucker up. You got to crack that thing and let people see it. Sure, cover up your personal information, but let people see where you've gone, and everything else. And the fact that he hasn't done that, to me, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't account to anything. But I really want to see people, for one, stop buying in to the damage control from the alt-right, because you can see literally them trying to control this story. Is this story real? I don't know. It's all unverified, all unproven. We literally have no idea. But you can see them trying to run damage control to like the nth degree, right? So by them trying to push as hard as they are to make you know that this is fake news, to me, speaks louder than the actual fucking report. It's that, to me, it says that these people literally are trying to stop any negative thing from happening to Trump in the next 10 days, that they are pushing this so far that it's going to go to the other side of the spectrum, which is where it's going to become, well, they're trying to defend it so much, and no one's outright denied it. People have dismissed it, but no one's denied it. Even Trump himself didn't even fucking deny it. He just said it's fake news, it's a political witch hunt. That's not a denial. That's a dismissal, right? I mean, everyone has come out and they've just dismissed it, but no one has said anything. And they're waiting, of course, for the FBI to finish up their investigation into this. So listen, if you've made it this far into it, awesome, good for you. Here's the way I take this. Just pay attention. All right, this story is very salacious. It's very out there, and there's so much about it that you could probably take as being as being fake news. But you can also see how the other side, the not necessarily the alt-right, but just people on that political spectrum side of things, are trying to defend Trump. And they're trying to white knight for him and tried to claim that all this was a hoax. Even notable Twitter trolls are coming out and saying that they're hoax, that they're the ones that are behind it. Notable, kind of trollish journalists, that are of merit, that are coming out and they're making these kind of claims. I've seen, numerous exchanges between some of these people from my contacts, And I can't post them, unfortunately, but yeah, people are trying to stir the pot about this, and they're trying to do it to deflect from what's actually going on, which again is way more telling than what we have before us in black and white in this document. So what I want is I want the government to conduct the full investigation. If it's not true, then by all means, fucking come out, say they found nothing, right? They it was fake news story and we all move on with our fucking day. But a lot of people out there too are trying to call for the closure of Buzzfeed now. The fact that Buzzfeed posted this unverified, unproven document, that they should be sued into non-existence. You know what though? Because they said that it's unverified, that it's unproven, that they didn't make any direct allegations themselves, technically it will fall under the First Amendment. But if Trump wants to, he's got enough money and enough power and enough influence to keep them tied up in court until they run out of fucking money. Because that $200 million that NBC Universal gave them isn't going to stop them if Trump goes on the warpath enough. Alright everyone, that wraps up this video. My name is Mundane Matt. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment below, subscribe if you're new, check back daily for more content from me, or if you want to know about my life, check out Mundane Chats, or top 5 videos that are awesome as fuck, forbidden knowledge right here. Talk to you guys later, have yourself a good day, and peace out.